welcome to our YouTube video. We have walked around 10 minutes from our home to come here to the so-called Panoramaplatz, and we will show you why it's called that. You have a beautiful panorama of the Dachstein and the surrounding mountains. And we have come here to tell you about how I got Mia to come to Austria, how we applied for the visa, what kind of visa, and what was necessary to get it. So the story started basically in January of 2020, when I was planning for my 30th birthday to visit Mia in Indonesia. My birthday is in April, but we all know what happened, and that was not possible. So all of that was cancelled, and for many months we tried to find a solution to be able to meet again. And the solution we found is to get married, because what was not possible, well, first of all, before, no visas were needed for someone from Austria to come to Indonesia, but with all the corona stuff, visas became necessary to go to Indonesia, and they were always necessary to go from Indonesia to Austria. And from Indonesia to Austria, visas type C, which is for tourists, for people who don't really have an important reason to come to Austria, these visas were not granted. But what was granted was a visa type D, which is for people who have an important reason. So one reason for which you can get a visa type D is for marriage, for a wedding. And what you need to have for that is proof that you are planning a wedding, that you are getting married, which in Austria means you need to go to the Standesamt, and you need to have a so-called Aufgebot or Ehefähigkeitsbestimmung. And after that, when you have proven that you can get married, that you have not been married before, and that you can prove who you are by a birth certificate, then you get an appointment at the Standesamt, and with this appointment you can apply for a visa. So the first thing we had to do is get an appointment at the Standesamt. What you need for that as an Austrian citizen is your birth certificate and proof that you are an Austrian citizen. That is easy, I have that. What you need as a foreign national is your birth certificate and a proof from the foreign country where that person is living that he or she is unmarried and able to get married. And because that is in a foreign language, it has to be first legalized by that foreign country, then translated, and then legalized by an embassy in that country. So 2 times legalization, 1 times translation. And because you are translating legalized documents, you need a sworn translator, which for Indonesian is not available in Austria. The next one is in Germany. So Mia had to get her her birth certificate first, and which is relatively easy because that exists, and then a proof that she's unmarried from the from the Department of Religion.
Yeah, dari KUA.
And then this is not necessary for the Standesamt, but it's necessary for the visa, is the so-called SKCK, which is a proof that you have not committed a crime. So these 2 documents, birth certificate and a proof that she's unmarried, we legalized 2 times. We sent it to Austria, then we sent it to Germany to be translated there, because the Standesamt in Schwanenstadt said that it has to be translated in Europe. It cannot be translated in Indonesia, which would have been a lot cheaper, but whatever. So we sent it to Germany to a sworn translator who took forever to translate it and sent it back. And then I brought that to the Standesamt and made an appointment for the Aufgebot. That is the first thing you have to do before you can get married in Austria. And with this I sent to Mia, including all the original documents again, because she needs that to apply for the visa too. So the birth certificate and proof she's unmarried. That got back to Indonesia, and then with that and the SKCK, Mia went to the embassy to apply for the visa type D. You have to fill out the form, the normal visa form, with all the information that is on that. Oh, and one more thing that I needed, you either need to have, I think, 10,000 euros in a bank account or something to prove that you can afford the stay in Austria, or a so-called erweiterte Verpflichtungserklärung, where I had to go to the police and first of all prove that I am not in debt, like a huge amount, so I can be trusted to pay for whatever Mia does. For example, if she commits a crime, I am liable for that if they can't extract the money from her. And you have to sign that, so you are legally bound. And this document has a number, and you need that number when applying for the visa. So to prove that Mia can afford staying in Austria. And with all of that, Mia goes to the embassy, applies for the visa. And how long did it take? About a week, 5 days. And
Got a visa.
Mia got her
Printed.
visa type D, and according to what it says on the visa, a national visa, which means she is not allowed to visit the rest of the Schengen area, only Austria.
Yeah.
But it was a multiple entry visa, so she could go back to Indonesia and come here again with this visa within the 6 months of the visa, which is from January to the end of May. Well, and then so Mia finally was able to fly from Indonesia to Austria. She landed in Vienna on the 6th of December, and I picked her up from there. After that, we had the fun 10-day home quarantine. It was, of course, completely stupid because she already had a negative COVID test. Why would she need a quarantine? But that's the rules. And well, after that, we could finally do some things, but of course not a lot, because it was still lockdown in Austria.
Yes.
And things have changed a little bit since then, but not a lot. It's still, emergency situation. Nothing really is going on. So the first thing that we attempted to do was to get an Islamic wedding. But, well, of course, there are lots of Muslims here in Austria, but most of them are not from Southeast Asia, but from the Middle East, Turkey, and places like that. And, well, Mia couldn't really talk to them unless they speak good English, but there are also cultural differences between the Middle East and Southeast Asia. Yeah. So we tried to find someone from Indonesia, and Mia contacted the embassy and asked around who could do that, and it turns out there is a mosque in Vienna that what's it called?
What?
The mosque.
Wapena?
No. Udah lupa.
Udah lupa.
Yeah, udah
Wapena.
Well, the mosque where it's called Imam.
Assalam atau apa? Aku lupa, ya Allah.
What is Andi is
Pak Andi.
Yeah, is what in the mosque? What is his title?
Jadi dia yang bangun, orang Indonesia yang bangun, build that small mosque. Sebenarnya bukan mosque ya, lebih kayak musola gitu. Cuman ya itu untuk sholat dan acara orang Indonesia yang tinggal di Vienna.
And he's also the
Wali
head
Hakim.
Wali Hakim.
Yeah.
Our
Wali Hakim menggantikan papa aku karena dia nggak bisa datang ke sini. Corona.
And and he is also the head of the organization called Wapena, which is what does that mean?
Warga negara.
Warga negara.
Nggak tahu.
Ya udah.
Ada pokoknya cek di
It's an
Google.
organization of Indonesians in Austria.
Yeah.
The A at the end definitely stands for Austria.
Sorry, so stupid.
And he did our akad nikah
Ijab kabul akad nikah
in Vienna.
in Vienna.
And after we did that, we tried to get the Standesamt wedding going.
Yeah, civil wedding.
Yeah. The difficult part about that is that in Austria, if you can't speak German enough to understand the process, you need a translator. And it can't be a translator, for example, because Mia can speak German to English, it has to be German to Bahasa. And I already said that there is no sworn translator in Austria for Bahasa. Well, this one doesn't have to be a sworn translator, but there are also very few translators Bahasa German in Austria. We tried to find someone in Vienna, but yeah,
Because Corona, they don't want to come to us.
yeah, they didn't want to come, and we didn't have a huge amount of money that we could offer them to come over. But Mia had a friend, or has a friend in Germany. Where does she live? Near Munich. Near München, and she wanted to come over, but of course, because of Corona, that was difficult. But in February, finally, we got an appointment where she could come, which was the day after her birthday. And we got the confirmation, like the letter from the Standesamt, that she is needed as a translator. She had to take a COVID test on the day before, and then she was finally able to come over. I picked her up in Salzburg at the train station with my car, and we came back, and we barely made it to the Aufgebot. Mia was also late because the plan was to pick her up, but because I was late, she walked to the Standesamt, and that took a long time. But finally, we arrived there. We got the Aufgebot.
What does Aufgebot means?
Well, what that is the official what goes through all the data points in the document, that you have the correct name, you have your passport and everything, that you can do all of that. And because normally you do the Aufgebot months before the wedding, so that person, the official, will ask you what you should do, whether there will be rings exchanged, what the photographer is going to do, what she should say. Then she asked us a little bit about our story, so she could make a little speech that would make sense, because of course she doesn't know us at all. She met Mia for the first time on that day. And after that, I went to our flat, and Mia went to my father's house, and my aunt got her ready. My aunt did her hair, and she did her own makeup, and they put her into her wedding dress, and
So we met. Yeah,
so,
it was
and
romantic.
I put on my suit, and then we met again at the Standesamt in the afternoon. So a few hours after the Aufgebot, we had the actual wedding, and it was nice. We exchanged rings.
Yeah,
We
but
did not kiss because of Corona.
use a mask. But unfortunately, also that only 6 people allowed to attend.
We only had one person who was a guest who did not have a role. It was technically 7 people. The official is the +1, so it's Mia and me. Then the translator from Germany. Then the photographer, which is 4. Then
Your father.
my father, which was the guest, and my cousin, who was my witness, and who also brought us the rings to put on. So it was a very, very small wedding, but my siblings, who are 5, waited outside the Standesamt until after our wedding, and they welcomed us, and they threw rice on us, which is apparently a tradition. And after that, we went to my father's house, my siblings, Mia and me, and we had a little celebration. We ate cake. Oh no, we did not eat cake. Someone made cake for us, but my father forgot that we had cake, didn't give it to anyone, so we didn't have cake. We just had some bread. It was a very strange.
Yeah, can't afford that wedding now because corona.
Yeah, nothing that we wanted to do was possible, but at least we are married now.
Yang penting sah ya bun. Iya, ya betul kan. Yang penting sah, wedding can anytime. I mean after corona ends. When corona ends.
Yeah, well, if and when corona ends, our plan is to have some kind of real celebration with a few more people. But yeah. So this was my summary of the process of how we got married. And a little bit of the backstory is that our plan was in the first place to for me to go to Indonesia in April, and then in December of 2020 we were planning to have a wedding in Bali with my parents and maybe my siblings if they want to fly over, and Mia's family. We would bring them all together in Bali and have a
Wedding there.
big wedding, much bigger than this.
Yes.
But well, as it has turned out, that was correct. If we had held on to that and were planning to do that, today it would still not be possible to even plan that. So we would still be separated by half the planet and wouldn't have gotten one step further. So what we obviously did is we decided that is not the important part. The important part is that we can finally be together again, that we can finally be married, because our plan is of course to stay here in Austria together for the rest of our life as a husband and wife, and that is the goal that we want to achieve. And a wedding in Bali is a nice to have, but living together is a must have.
Yes. Aku nggak boleh juga ke Austria lama kalau nggak nikah. Nggak boleh sama orang tua.
Well, but now of course Mia is married to me, so she could apply for a resident permit. There's only one thing that is missing now, and that is the A1 exam to prove that she can speak German at A1 level. And with that, she can apply for the resident permit and can stay in Austria whenever she wants, indefinitely.
Yes.
That's what we want.
So yeah, maybe there are other couples who want to have a nice wedding, so they want to wait, but it's our decision to have wedding as soon as possible. So because we want to close the distance and living together as wife and husband.
Thank you for watching.
And thank you for supporting us until now. And please subscribe, because subscribe gratis. Don't forget to like and comment, and see you in the next video.
Bye.